Okay, it is the one sheet product marketing planner. And it's very similar to our other class, the event marketing planner, except we are going to be talking all about your product, which is, you'll see, synonymous with a service or a program you may offer. So I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to get started with this.
Excited about this one.
Yeah, me too. I think everybody needs this.
I do.
And it's such a simple concept, and people very, very rarely do all these little things in the background, much less put them all in one spot and have them so that they can wash, rinse, and repeat the next time. So
and have a more effective launch of whatever they're doing. This is like the way to make it the best it can be. Yeah,
I think so. And also, just like you and I, for our own business, when we launch something new, we take all of our notes into Trello board and stuff like that. But then we can look back and say, look at all the stuff we did. Which component didn't work? Which one did we suck at? Which can we do better? Who should we not involve? All of those things. And it's just really nice. It's almost like you're winking at your future self. Like, here you go. Remember you did this? No, actually I don't, but thank God we wrote it down, right?
Yes.
Anyways, so I just love our pictures, by the way. Look at our little arm parties. Okay, so just like we just said, when we say the product launch, note that throughout this entire class, when we say product, you say service or program. Brendan Bouchard has programs. Jenna Kutcher has programs. They both have products. We have product. We have all the things. So this actual thing is synonymous with product, service, or program.
It's basically whatever you are selling. So if you sell a thing, if it's a widget, or if it's a class, if you're a coach or a photography, this is anything that is what you sell that is not just an ongoing evergreen thing you offer.
Yeah, amen. And there's a whole separate class for event. It's very similar in layout, but there are more components to an event launch where you're inviting people to come to something. So this is everything else. Okay, so let's move on. There are two components, really there's one, and that is the one sheet product marketing plan, but we've created a digital version for those people that like to have everything on their phone. You'll want the digital version. And for us, where we write everything with our pen and our paper, and we've got to be able to cross it out with our hand. So we have both versions. We will say that we actually use both together because finding our scratched out notes from last year is a lot harder when it's lost in my office somewhere. But when it's also put digitally, we can just pull that up and it's great. Plus our digital version, you'll see, has a lot more.
I think you and I love to just sit down with a piece of paper when we're beginning and kind of visualize it and write it out. But then when we're going to the actual planning, sometimes I like to turn to the Trello, to the digital board, because then it's like, for me, it's like step 2 of processing what we've now scratched out on everything. So that's kind of how we use it, but everybody can use either of these tools interchangeably.
I agree with that. So you're saying that basically you just put it into words, that we use the paper as our draft.
Yeah, initial planning.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah, I agree with that. We definitely do that. Except she's better at putting everything into it.
Yeah, that's my job. I'm the step 2 girl for sure.
Not so much. Okay, so here's us metaphorically planning. So there's a step-by-step to this. I'm going to go through all of these, and once we're done, there's 2 things I want you to get out of this and those 2 things are, I want you to realize how much you aren't doing that you should be doing. And by the time we're done with this, I want you to feel at ease knowing that you can go back and start doing those things because you have this program that allows it to be simple and fluid and something you can do in batch all in one sitting. You don't need to, extract this into a 3-week process. This is all together in one sheet. And so please note what you're not doing and start doing that. And after we're done with this class, I hope that you're not so overwhelmed and you see that it's actually easy to do these things. So first thing is just, what thing are you going to sell? You might have 30 things. The hardest part is picking which one you want to talk about. I really, truly believe niching it down. And that comes from a sense of, I mean, you and I were just talking about, and how does that make you feel? What is your internal problem? The external problem is, but wait, I've sell all these things. Why do I need to talk about one? I need to talk about all of them. That's the problem you think you have. But really internally, it's a sense of desperation. You, for some reason, we all do this. We think that that one little square on Instagram, that one post has to accomplish it all. But guess what? There's an infinite number of squares. They never run out. You can just make another one tomorrow. So just identify one product, stick to that. You're going to complete the first column of the product marketing planner on the Trello board. You're going to mind map your EIEIO buckets. Again, that's a foundation class that we have, foundational class of what we teach. And if you don't know about that, we're going to hit on it a little bit, but we do have a deep dive in our other classes. So make sure you go back and watch that. You're going to write your content captions. You're going to plan the delivery method of your post, which we will talk about. And then you're going to just sit there. Once you kind of have an idea and you're like, oh, that product, that's what I'm doing. All right. You can easily find the content on your phone because you could probably search for it, but you need to gather that stuff, put it in a little folder. And again, it's like a wink and a nod to your future self, a couple hours from now, because now it's all in one spot. And then you're going to schedule your posts and then write your emails, email marketing.
Let me say this before you go to the next page.
Uh-huh.
When I worked for the magazine and I would have these big, massive campaigns or launches of things that we were doing, which was, big, we would do the best of DSW child, those kinds of things, where we would have these big campaigns. I would sit down and I would block off a whole day in my calendar. Like, this is a creative day. All I'm going to do is create all of the marketing collateral around this event. So I do recommend that. Now, those were bigger events. They took a long time, a lot of planning. So I had to have a whole day, but you could maybe plan a couple of hours where you do all of these things in one chunk. And the reason that I recommend that so strongly is because you're going to get into a content flow in your head of writing captions, writing your emails, all in one thing. So you do your posts, all your emails, and now you can see this progression of content, and you're not forgetting something and you're not overlapping things where it doesn't apply. It's just much better for you to have one free flow thought where you're very focused on doing all of this in one chunk. I just could not stress enough how this kind of work should all be done at once.
Yeah. And I mean, I've got like 5 kids at my house right now. If I had to get up from this class and the slide that we're on and what we're talking about and flit around my house to go do something and then come back and get back in the mode of what were we talking about, it takes you so much time to just get back into the flow. So you're saving time by chunking it, just like she said.
100%.
Okay, so we're going to hit on EIEIO briefly. This formula, the EIEIO, just means vary your content and you get to keep your followers. If you say the same thing over and over again in the same way, using the same method of delivery, people are going to be like, wow, she's a one-hit wonder. Why do I follow her? She says the same thing every day. Yeah. Repeating yourself and building a niche for yourself is very different than saying the same thing on social media in the same way. And I hope that we will be able to show you that by the time this is over. So for instance, EIEIO means entertain, inspire, educate, inform, and offer. Okay. let's just take, and I think I can pause this so we don't get a headache. Um, there's only so much of this we can watch, right? But those 5 things allow you to take your one message and say it 5 different ways. So you've multiplied your ability to talk about this product 5 times over. Okay. Entertaining doesn't necessarily mean, that was freaking funny. It's not a little Johnny joke. We're not doing anything like that. Entertaining just means that it causes people to linger longer on that content. And typically that means something that takes up more digital real estate, like a video, maybe a 3-second video, but something that causes their eyes to be engaged. And I mean, I know we all just scroll, half the crap that we see when we're scrolling is, just junk that we don't really need to consume. But it's entertaining us. So entertaining just means something that takes up more digital real estate and makes their eyeballs engaged on your content. Our example here that we're going to use as a product is face wash, just generic face wash. An entertaining post might be a reel of someone using the face wash. Now, it's funny, she's washing her hands with this, but you get the picture, right?
Yep.
So we're just going to pretend like that's her face. The next, why is this not going? Okay, there we go. Next one is inspiring. Oftentimes people are inspired to make a purchase because they have FOMO. They see somebody else that's made that purchase and now they're like, wait a minute, I have to have that too. Keeping up with the Joneses is a real thing. So if you can show someone utilizing your product, even if it's you or your bestie or something, or even maybe a stock photo like what I'm using now, which is not ideal, but
testimonial. This is a good place for, yep. Or story.
Yes. Yeah. A story of someone using it. Now, if you have not yet sold it, then you're not going to have those things. But if you have sold it before and people have used it, that is one of your tasks that maybe we should add to the Trello board, gathering up all those emails, those text messages you got, those Facebook messages, Instagram DMs, all the things where people have talked to you. Oh my gosh, thank you, or that helped, or whatever. You want to use those. So inspiring people to use something is more about people buy what other people have bought, not what people want to sell them. So you want to show other people have purchased this. And then here's the third one, another picture, right? So we have a reel of someone using it. We have a, customer testimonial, a quote, or a person using it, whatever, a picture. And now we're going to talk about educate. You want to educate your people on the product, what's included. Education is more about a synergy of ideas. It's not necessarily what they can read on the label.
About the benefits.
The benefits, yes. It's a critical thinking. It's something that they need to know that they might not be able to, if they haven't experienced the product, they wouldn't know about. Informing them is the who, what, where, why, how of the product.
The features.
The features. Yeah. What color is it? How big is it? How much do you get? How long does it take to ship? All those different things, informing people. And then of course, offer, buy my crap. This is the go in for the kill kind of thing. And I say that very tongue in cheek, because people really think that when they actually ask people to buy their thing, they're killing someone. You would think they're killing someone because people are so allergic to money. And we don't get that, do we?
Well, you've done all the things to create the desire. Now you have to tell them how they're going to be able to fulfill that. So you're doing people a disservice if you're not telling them, making it really easy for them to now get what you've offered. So you have to do these posts. You have to say, here's how you can now buy.
Right. Right. And I find that the people that don't sell aren't solid on what they're selling.
Mhm.
And I think just by going through this process, you become more solid because you start saying, "Oh, okay, yeah, this I feel better about selling this because it really does help." And you're, telling all these things. So that's how you vary your angle of your content. We're still talking about the face wash in all five, but we aren't just buy my crap, buy my crap, buy my crap. All right. So you heard me talk about this a little bit, but the delivery of those messages needs to be varied as well. And what we mean by that is you can make a reel, you can put it in stories and add little engagement questions, stickers, and polls and things like that. You can even add links to your stories. This is my new and improved made up graphic for graphic. This is the little icon that means graphic. You could just create a graphic for your informative. For instance, it would be great to have a graphic of like, mine doesn't have toxins, this one does, or something, some sort of comparison or whatever, but a graphic. And then carousels, which are all the rage. And that's just a series of either graphics or pictures on Instagram that causes people to scroll. And even that could be entertaining because it makes them linger longer.
Mhm.
Okay. Don't do this. So we have a little organization in our downtown, and several years ago, they had a arts and wine walk. And so the president of that organization was like, we don't need anybody to do our marketing. I got it covered. And this is what he did. Every day we got the same graphic. He just repeated copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. That is very different than the 5 posts we just showed you, right? And it's going to look different on the feed. So when you vary your delivery, your feed is dynamic. Dynamic makes people want to come back because it's ever changing and evolving and moving and growing. This is not. So
That's right.
it's not. Who chose brown, brick red brown? That's not even cute. Okay. So Trello. This is the crux of this entire class. So just so you know, this is going to be where in the class in LearnDash, not only do you have the product sheet, the product event one sheet in there, and you can download it and print it as many times as you want, but also the link to this Trello template will be in there also. What you're going to use this Trello template for is the planning, the marketing, making lists, all the details. And again, this will be in there for next year and the year after that and all of that. And then we've also put the link right here to that Trello template. So this is the one sheet product event. I'm sorry, product marketing plan. We're going to go over that as well. And just so you know, there's 2 different versions of that, one with the numbers and one without. And we will explain that here in just a second. So let me go over to the Trello board, and we're just going to do a quick left to right deep dive into all the parts that you should be doing before marketing your product. So let's go here to column 1. Marketing timeline. So how long are you going to market this product? Is it going to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 5 days? Whatever that is, I would suggest that you click into here and literally type it out here, July 3rd through July 17th. Okay, give yourself a timeline, because again, next year when you come back to this, you'll be able to say, oh, okay, we marketed that in July. That was not a good month. The J months are never good for products. Everybody's on vacation. So anyways, you want to have a timeline there so you at least know when you're going to post these things. You want to have a purchase link to your sales page. That might be on your website. That might be if you are in direct sales. That might be a landing page that you've created through Kajabi or your, wherever, I don't know, but you need to make sure that you have that link readily available. And I would highly recommend that you bit.ly link it. If you go to bit.ly, you can create a free account with them. But by shortening that link with bit.ly, you can now see how many times it's been clicked daily and where it's being clicked from. So if you include that link in your Instagram and Facebook and perhaps email, you can see which platform is garnering you the most traffic. And that's really good to know. And again, next year, you can go back and look. Gather all your hashtags and plan those out here. You can create different bundles of those hashtags. I would say here that you're going to want geo, branded, and keyword. So you want 3 different types of hashtags and include those 3 different types in each bundle of hashtags that you use for your posts. These questions right here are very aligned with StoryBrand, which is something that we're reading right now in Social Club. So I think you'll recognize these questions somewhat. You're going to want to identify who your ideal customer is and what do they want? Who is your ideal client and what are they asking for? What's their problem? What are they experiencing that they keep coming to you saying, I have, and let's just use face wash, for instance, dry skin, rosacea, age spots, oily T-zone, whatever it is, what is their problem? And then this is where she said, Angeline, I want you to explain this one based on the.
Yeah. So once you've identified the problem, the next step is to talk about empathy and authority. So you want to be able to relate to your clients. You want them to recognize, oh, they see me, where they're saying, they're hearing, oh, she understands my problem. Whether it's something that you can say you've experienced it yourself. Maybe you say, this was my problem and I discovered this and this is why I now have the ability to help you. So you're going to tell them to just that you've seen them with the empathy. And then the next question is about your authority. Why are you the guide to help them? What's their problem and how are you the guide? The guide shows the empathy and authority. So make sure you kind of really flesh those out. It will help you with your messaging.
I know. And just to double down on that, I've never known a client that has a business that didn't get led to doing that business because of something they experienced.
Mm-hmm.
That origin story is very important.
And even if it's not your own story, it will be someone that maybe was close to you, or you can talk about a client that has had this story and how you've helped them. I guess there may be a chance where you might be, maybe a photographer didn't have a problem, they overcame to become but you're telling them that you see them, you're not happy with your family photos, they're not coming out exactly what you want. You're not getting your vision materialized like you see. So there's something that you can just say, hey, I see you and I know the problem and I understand, and this is why I can help you. And this is what I'm going to do. So.
Yep. And then you really need to, explain to them clearly how the product's going to solve their problem. And not only how it's going to solve their problem, but more so about how they will feel once that problem and that monkey is no longer on their back. For instance, the one sheet product launch planner. You got a product that's sitting around, your wish marketing, which means you're just hoping somebody will buy it because you made it or you bought it or whatever. That's not working. You are going to feel like a successful business owner once you implement this program for the first time and properly and effectively launch your product online. And you're going to feel like a successful business owner for the first time. You're going to feel so excited when you get all those dings on your phone. It's about the feeling, right? And then you have to develop a call to action. You're in multiple calls to action because you're going to have multiple posts. So you don't just want to say the same thing over and over again. you'll want to have multiple ones, and you can Google different calls to action, but they need to pertain to what you want them to do. What will their life look like after they use the product, complete the program, or use your service? Again, that's sort of like how they'll feel, but more so, my life started to look a lot different when I was talking to people, or when I would go purchase something or whatever, because I had more confidence in my ability to sell whatever I was going to add to the roster. And so my business just started to grow. Once I did something right in the product launch, it started growing more and more. And I know Angelin's has too. So really talk about, for your client, whatever it is that you're selling, what their life is, how their life is going to be different. And talk about how their life won't be different or will be the same if they don't do this. That's kind
Yeah,
of
I think you can sell to you can sell to the positive or the negative. Like, it depends on what your product is and who your audience is, and only you can know that. But it can be equally effective that, like, if you don't do this, you'll be this in a year. Maybe if you don't buy the home now, you might be at risk of paying a higher interest rate. So there can be if you do, this is what your life will look like. And if you don't, this is what your life may look like. So I think depending on the product, it can be equally effective to use either strategy.
right. And lastly, this is an important one that everyone forgets. How will you follow up with the people that purchased your product? And how soon after they've purchased it will you do that? Or start to do that? Because I don't want you to just send them one email or one text or one call. I want that to be a sequence, right? So really think about how you're going to follow up with them, what that's going to look like, and how soon after they purchase are you going to start to do that. And then the tasks, it kind of depends on what you're selling, right? But I would say one major task, if it's product, is the photography surrounding it, people using it, videography. And when I say videography, I'm just saying using your phone. We don't have to do anything fancy here. Something that we talked about earlier is gathering client testimonials. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk next to this because you might not have any yet, and that's totally fine. But if you've been selling this product for a while and you're just using this to relaunch, then you definitely are going to have those. The emails to compose, Angelin and I, when we first met, Angelin is like, I love email marketing. I do not, but she's really great at it. And there are so many different sequences for you to do. But these right here, except for that last one, are like foundational to a product launch. You want to do a teaser email. You want to do the open cart. You can buy it now. Perhaps give an early bird pricing for a certain time frame so people really have a sense of urgency. Or instead of giving a discount, maybe you're going to give a purchase with purchase. But then you want to remind them. People have attention spans of fruit flies. So you'll have an email that says, don't forget 2 more days with the purchase with purchase or the discount, whatever you're going to do. We have a question mark next to the cart closes because maybe this is a product that you will sell forever and the cart doesn't close. But if the cart does close, you'll want to send an email saying that. You'll send a thank you. Maybe this is a separate email, or it can be your confirmation email and you write it in there that just says, thank you so much for purchasing today. That means a lot. Here's a tip for using your product when it arrives in the mail. Some sort of giving and give some more. And then after they've gotten their product, this is the whole, how will you follow up with them? Follow up, give them another tip or a trick or, some sort of value add, and ask for a Google review on their product. What product you're selling, what program and service is going to greatly drive when this happens, because you don't want to ask for a Google review before they've had a chance to actually use it.
Right.
And then any nurture sequence, do you want to sell them something else? If they're buying your face wash, maybe they want your moisturizer. You know, if they're buying your Instagram class, maybe they want your Facebook one too. If they're buying your coaching services and they're in the group, maybe you're going to upsell them to the individual one-on-one coaching. I don't know. But what do you want them to buy next? That is
You basically just don't want to like end this email list. So either you want to move them into your general list, or you want to start a new nurture sequence with them, but value these people because these people have bought from you, and that's a good thing.
Yep. We some people call this an ascension plan.
Yep.
You can literally draw, and I'm looking at my big whiteboard over here. You can draw a stair step and literally write out all your products and the order that you would want people to stack those on. And if you go from face wash to one-on-one coaching, I don't even know, you might want to do some in between. You can see that you're missing some products that you might need to go out and develop. So anyways, those are the emails. Again, with this, highly recommend you write them, plan them out in here on this card, so that next year you have a whole email written out right here that you can tweak and redo. And these templates allow you to share and add team members so that y'all can all work on this, and it's a cloud based. So when you're updating it, the other person sees your update immediately. Customers, keep a master email list of the people who bought that. I know we have audiences and segments in Flowdesk. I like to even keep one right here where I can just copy and paste and send an email if I want, blind copy everyone. But if you have an email manager, then your Flowdesk or your MailChimp Constant Contact, you can do that there. And then I would call your VIPs for this particular product or a service or a program. I would say they're your early adopters, or maybe the ones that bought like 10 of them, something like that. I don't know, but you'll know what your VIPs are based on your business. And then we're about to hop over to the page now, because I want to explain to you before your eyeballs just make you shut down and tune out. You do not have to market your product, your service, or your program for 5 weeks. You absolutely can. And here's what we suggest. But let's say that your time frame is 2 weeks. Okay. Let's say that over those 2 weeks, you're going to write eight posts. Okay. So you can delete this column and delete this column and delete this column. And your first week that you're marketing it and your second week that you're marketing it, you can move these around, edit them, all of that. This is all editable. When you create your own board where it says create board from template, you create that board, name it. It would be like face wash launch planner. Whatever your product is, replace the words. And then as you schedule those, you can move them over, and it will be a big long list of everything that you wrote, all your content, all your captions, call to actions, hooks, hashtags, all planned out here. And when you scheduled them. Okay. So that is, in a nutshell, the Trello board. Let's go over here to the sheets, the PDFs that you can print out. These are simplistic. There's not all the different questions and stuff are not included on here. But there is something very important that I want to point out about these over the next like 2 or 3 minutes. Each day, you're going to vary the angle that you take on talking about your product, your service, or your program. You're going to entertain, inspire, educate, inform, and offer. That there's some extra little tips up here. What you don't know is, let's say you are going to use 5 weeks and you're going to plan this out 5 weeks prior to. You don't necessarily have to post every day, But let's look at this one for a second. Day one, entertaining. So on the first week, on Sunday, you're going to entertain them. Notice that you're going to do another entertaining post the following week on Monday. Then you're going to do another entertaining post about that product on Tuesday of the following week, and so on and so forth. The reason for that is you want to repeat your message, but never on the same day of the week of the month, or time of the day. So entertaining Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you've been entertaining on all days, because people jump on at all different times. Your clients are all over the map. If you just post on Sunday, all these people that are online on these days will never have seen that post. So that helps you create a troll line, sort of, and you'll catch more people with that. And on the same note, your inspiring posts, you'll inspire them on Monday of the first week, and Tuesday of the next week, Wednesday of the next week, Thursday of the next week. And then looky here, you'll go back over here and, just vary that. So you'll follow these numbers. If that stresses you out and you don't need to repeat yourself 5 times in a month, fine, we've created an empty one. The whole reason we did the X's over here is because we just want to show you that you don't have to post 7 days a week. You can give yourself a break. On this one, you can put those X's anywhere you want. We just wanted you to see that you can give yourself a break on Fridays and Saturdays. You can still post on those days, but that's not when you're going to schedule this product launch. But if you want to kind of customize that to fit your feed and your highest traffic days and stuff, then block off the days that aren't very high traffic. Don't bother making posts on those days and move on. At the bottom, again, a place to put your hashtags, geo, keyword, and branded, and then information about that product, who it's for, what it is, where do you get it, how is it created, or how do you use it? Some of that information down here. The page is not as robust, but you can see why Angelin said before that we use this to kind of scratch out our ideas, and then we polish them all up and put them on the Trello board, because that's what we want to be able to look at and analyze the following year. So anyways, do you have anything to add to that part?
No, I think that's really clear.
Okay. And then just connect with us. If you have any issues and you're not already in Social Club, then obviously you need to join Social Club.
Yeah.
If you are in Social Club, you can ask us all about this in our next Zoom call. So make sure you take notes, write down those questions, and we can't wait to see you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.